Welcome my friends to online battles of a slightly different variety. So for the past few days I've been trying to get a decent online battle to show you, but I haven't really been able to get any that I'm happy with, so I figured I'd do something different and show you some of the silly things that people sometimes do online, whether it's silly tactics or silly builds or just general silliness. So I thought this would be a fun idea, and you can maybe learn something of what not to do in any kind of battle ever in some of these as well. So let's get cracking. So the battle's just begun here. I am the Greenskins. I've got a lot of units. I've got an Ragnarok. I've got some pretty dangerous units. Pretty spread out as well. What's my opponent got? Well, for starters, he's got 4 units of Grenade Outriders. That's 4 units of Skirmisher Cavalry. Grenade Outriders are pretty strong against lightly armoured troops, which typically make up most Greenskin armies. So they're going to do a fair amount of damage on the initial attack here. Some grenades coming in. Knocking my boys all over the place. Other than that, he's got 2 units of Reiksguard, 3 units of Reiksguard actually, some Outriders down here who are being pursued by my Goblin Wolf Riders and chasing them towards the edge of the map, so they're going to have nowhere to go. And I've got a lot of troops coming around this way. I've got a lot of infantry, my Ragnarok's there. He's got a steam tank as well, this guy. And on the far west side of the map, we've got the same situation going on over here. My Goblin Wolf Riders into his Outriders, they're next to the map, they've got nowhere to go, they've been cornered. The Goblin Wolf Riders are going to tear them apart. Going to pull a cheeky tactic here. I've got some non-anti-large cav up front. I'm going to wait for him to pursue them, and when he does I'm going to charge him in the side with my anti-large cav, so I can avoid his charge and take a little bit of an advantage there. These grenade launchers still doing a bit of damage to my boys on the way up, but there isn't really a lot they could do. Some of them just ran into my boys there. That's not good for them. So yeah, this guy's build clearly is a cav army. He's bought loads of skirmishers, a couple of units of Reiksguard. And while this isn't necessarily an impossible build to make work, this is probably the worst map you could do it on because there's very little maneuverability. There's lots of narrow passages and things I can block up to prevent him from being able to run around with his cav. So if this was an open field map, he may have a better chance of winning this. But on a small map like this, with loads of stuff in the way, there's really not a lot of places he can run. And when you bring armies like this, there's so much to micromanage. If you've got like 10 different units of cavalry, and they're all doing their own thing, it's impossible to try and effectively do them all. And you can see there's just not a lot he can do. He doesn't run away quick enough with all of his cavalries because he can't micromanage them because it's too much. So yeah, if you are going to bring a cav build, please check the map before you do. It's not impossible to use cav builds. If you can learn to manage it properly, it can be pretty effective, but it isn't easy, especially when you do it on a map like this. Next up, I've got my Empire army. I'm facing Bretonia, and this guy has clearly put a lot of money into his flying units. He's got 2 units of Hippogriff Knights on either flank. And he also has some Grail Guardians, but for some reason, they're all the way over here by themselves. So that's a bit silly, first of all. I literally can't think of any reason why he'd put them all the way over there, away from his main army. But this guy's biggest mistake, as he approaches my army, is that his front line is 7 units of Peasant Mob. Peasant Mob. Probably the worst unit to bring online ever. These guys are a meat shield and nothing more. I've heard people say, oh, if you upgrade them, they'll become really strong, but I'm not really buying it. His only infantry is 1 unit of Foot Squires, who I've been hammering away at with my artillery, and 1 unit of Battle Pilgrims. So with this mad concoction, I'd like to stress the importance of having a decent front line. They're not just there for show, there is a reason that the entire army revolves around the front line. Typically anyway, it's not wrong necessarily to take a weaker front line than you could have, but there should be a reason and a plan if you do, like you've put a lot of money into your flanking units because you want them to do all the killing for you. But to do that you need a front line that will stay and hold in place. Peasant Mob are not a frontline unit. They're good for absorbing charges, they're good for being a meat shield, they're good for causing disruption, maybe flanking around and just annoying some skirmishers, but they are not built for fighting, they're built for dying basically. So the lesson here is not to use expendable units as front lines. Now I bought myself a nice brutal elven rush army here. I've got lots of war dancers, Asteroid Spear ones, normal ones, got some Eternal Guard for the anti-large just in case, got a Glade Lord. So pretty much a very fast, heavy attacking army. Got some Wild Riders. My enemy has brought himself a Goon Squad because he is a goon. Got 2 on Griffins and 2 normal ones. Mostly Wizards though. His main army, as you can see, is just tons of swordsmen. Empire swordsmen. So he's gone for numbers. He's gone for a spam build. He's got 4 units of Halberdiers here as well. Now the whole idea behind spam builds is that it minimises the micromanagement that you have to do. You don't really have to think about anything because you've got all of the same units. Matchups don't really apply because every matchup is the same for you. So you pretty much just charge everything forward and hope for the best. He sent his wizardy goon squad after my eagle. which is fine. I'm just going to let them fight it, try and do as much damage to those wizards as I can. My main line's approaching, my main army. I've spread my army out just in case there was artillery. And I'm just going to charge into this group of morons and just slay them, because War Dancers are perfect for slaying Empire Swordsmen. When I saw this build, honestly, I thought Christmas had come early. It's just perfect for War Dancers to tear through. He's going to try and get his Goon Squad after my one missile unit here, but I've got my Wild Riders ready, and they're going to try and get on top of their general, because Wild Riders are pretty strong. They'll do good damage to pretty much anything. But War Dancers are getting engaged now, charging into all these swordsmen. I don't know what he's doing with them, where he's trying to run them. Looks like he's trying to spread them out. They're all stood in like a column formation as well, which is a bit strange. But yeah, so spam builds are really not the way, in my opinion. I can appreciate it makes the game easier if you're new to the game. Micromanagement is very difficult, I understand that. But spam builds aren't going to help you learn how to play the game properly and thus get any better at the game. So when it comes to using a balanced army and having to use tactics and maneuvers and thinking, then you're going to struggle. And honestly, I don't understand how people find it fun or interesting or exciting to play this way. You just march an army forward and then right click a few times and see what happens. I cannot think of a more boring way to play the game. And don't get me wrong, spam builds can work. You can win with spam builds. If that's all you want to do is just win, then spam builds can probably have a good chance of winning for you, because you just overwhelm the enemy with numbers. So I suppose it depends if you're the type of player that wants to win by any means necessary, or the type of player that wants to win by outthinking and outplaying your opponent. Sometimes though, even a spam build can backfire in your face. You should see the kills on these War Dancers. This little one is more of just a gentle reminder as to why formation is very important. Now this guy's clearly just new at the game, he's not quite sure what he's doing, I don't know what he's doing. But his army's all over the place, he's playing as the Dwarves, I'm Bretonia. I've obviously got a lot of horses, but his army is spread all over the place. A couple of units over here running off to the middle of nowhere, God knows what anything is doing. But this kind of broken up formation leads to heavy flanking. My cavalry can just go whenever and wherever they want, attack whoever they need to. I got a bunch of foot squires coming in. And one of the main points of a formation is to protect your flanks from being charged in the back or surrounded by other enemy units. If you leave holes all over the place in your front line or around your front line, the enemy's just going to run through them and come up behind you. So learn to use formations, as they are very important. I of course have a formation guide. If you haven't seen it, go and check it out, because it'll give you a good basic understanding of formations and how they work. Now for this last one, which is probably my favourite one, I'm playing as the Beastmen here. I'm trying to lure my opponent over because I have a nice little Minotaur trap that I'm trying to spring. I'm hidden these ones over on the left, out the way, and I'm going to try and flank around with them. My enemy's approaching as his greenskin army. Now his first mistake is that he's brought 4 units of Black Orcs against the Beastmen. The Beastmen don't really have any armour. Black Orcs aren't going to be that great unless they bought a ton of Bestegor Herd, which people don't really do as the Beastmen, because Beastmen are more about numbers. He also has 4 heroes, which is quite a lot, or a Lord and 3 heroes. So lots of heroes going on, and he is approaching me now. But of course, Zerk always has a cheeky little trick up his sleeve. So I've spawned me a big, massive goat cyclops thing, aka a Cygor. We're going to start walking towards them. I'm going to launch some rocks when he gets in range. And these Black Orcs are going to take a nice bit of damage. See, I'm still waiting back with my Beastmen army. No need to hurry, trying to lure him in. Going to start to damage his Black Orcs now. His precious, precious Black Orcs. I'm going to start to shoot at different units with it as well, just to try and weaken them all significantly. Done a bit to this one, done quite a bit to that one. Going to start to go down the line. Who's next? See who we get. I'm aiming at this one now. Where's that rock, Cygor? There we go. He's been pretty accurate so far. He's landing lots of hits. So I'm just whittling down these Black Orcs, trying to do some damage with my Cygor. And he's closing in on me now. So it's about to go down. But I'm going to pull my army back because I want to lure him in so that I can flank around a bit easier with these Minotaurs. So I've moved them out of the way. They're hidden now. I'm trying to do this with them. So I'm going to come around the back of his army and just smash them to absolute pieces with Minotaurs. He's closing in on me. I'm leaving my Cygor out there. He's a spawned one, so he is dying, of course. He slowly loses health over time. So just going to leave him there, do what damage he can. Still popping the rocks off. He's done a nice bit of damage to their Black Orc front line. He's closing in on me now. He's about to reach my Cygor. Going to surely put my Cygor to death, and then he turns around and runs the other way. I have no explanation as to why he would do this, but he's going to allow my Cygor to do more damage with my rocks as he flees from my Cygor. His giant's still moving up though. Looks like he wants to have a giant on giant battle. So I think, alright, we'll do this. And then his giant turns around and runs away. So I'm like, oh, alright, fuck you then. I'm just going to throw more rocks at your Black Orcs, you bastard. And another nice hit with the Cygor. So, for some reason, he ran all the way up to me and then runs all the way away from me. All the while taking tons of Cygor fire. He then turns his army to run off in a different direction, which results in them all clumping up like this, which for a Cygor is just a field day. All he has to do is throw a rock in that general direction and he will probably get a fair few kills. So he's now clumped up his army, meaning he's going to take more potential artillery damage, and now he flees off this way. I think he's going home. I don't really know what he's doing. At this point I'm thoroughly confused, so I just figure, alright, we'll just give chase. So my army begins to move after his. He's going to keep running off this way. I figure maybe he's going to corner camp all the way over there for some reason. Maybe he's waiting for my Cygor to die. Maybe he saw my Minotaurs and got really scared. I have no idea. I'm trying to bring my Warhounds around just to try and get after his missiles. He's keeping them at bay though. I'm just trying to pester him a little bit with those. He's keeping them in check. I'm going to come right around the back of him with them though. Get a little sneaky attack on with them. So I've moved my army up. I've finally caught him. It looks like he's going to form up here. Not quite in the corner of the map, but sort of. Going to bring the Warhounds in. They're going to chew on them. Going to take him back out. And just when he thinks he's safe from Warhounds, I'm going to bring him back in and chew on the other ones. I'm going to engage him now. I'm going to start to flank around with Minotaurs and all sorts. I'm just going to overrun him. Of course, his Black Orcs are half dead by this point. They've taken a lot of artillery fire, and there really isn't a lot he can do with this one. I just overrun him with Beastmen. And if he'd attacked me in the first place, he would have been a hell of a lot better off. He'd taken a fair amount of damage from my Cygor, in truth, but still, he took even more damage when he ran away. So the lesson from this one is don't run up to an army and then run away. Obviously. So there you have a few of the sillier things I've come across in online battles, and we all make silly mistakes in battle sometimes, that's the given, but some are sillier than others. I'd like to give an honourable mention to one of my recent online battles, which was the Empire versus the Wood Elves, where the guy tries to zigzag run his army to avoid my artillery like he's trying to dodge a sniper. It's quite hilarious. Anyway, I hope you found this entertaining. If you like these, I can do more of them maybe, and I can find a use for all my silly replays that I end up with. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the future.